Hello, I'm Ben Kingston-Hughes, and today I'm going to be talking about the most difficult book in the world to read to children. And it is genuinely, to me, the hardest book that I've ever had to read to children. It's because of one page in particular. Now, you might not agree with me. You might have a book that you've read with your own children or children you work with that you think's more difficult than this. So please get in touch and maybe I'll do a review of that book as well. But this book's a sequel, so maybe I should do a video perhaps about the original one day, but it's the sequel to the book The Day the Crayons Quit, which is by Drew DeWalt with pictures by Oliver Jeffers. It's one of the great all-time children's books. My children loved it, and it's a great idea. It's a bunch of crayons complaining about how they've been used. So a bunch of crayons going, well, I've been used too much to colour in this blue whale. They're all, you know, it's like a trades union meeting where everybody's shouting, and it's lovely. It's a brilliant book. And I suppose with a book like that, the gimmick, and I don't mean that in a negative way, I think it's a fantastic book, but the gimmick is really a one book thing. And actually a sequel, you'd probably think was more of the same and maybe not as good. But no, I have to say, Drew DeWalt has nailed it, because this sequel, The Day the Cranes Came Home, if anything, is even funnier and better than the original. And that's not saying I don't love the original, but this one is it. Because instead of it being the crayons complaining, writing complaints letters, this is the crayons that have been left in different places and they're sending postcards. And I have to say that it's one of the most harrowing books in places that you will ever read. I'm going to read you a page now that in terms of mood and emotion is absolutely harrowing. And I think that's brilliant. Because if anybody follows any of the latest research on things like empathy and how important stories are to the developing of empathy, surely a story with lots of emotion that you can identify with, that has got to be one of the most important foundations for your children to develop empathy. So I think this is actually on my top 10 list of books that are brilliant for empathy. Yeah. So this page here, trigger warning. It is bleak, is this? Because this is the crayon. Well, without spoiling it, it's the crayon that's been eaten by a dog and puked up. So, you know, it starts in a very bleak place. So this is the postcard. Now, Duncan, it's addressed to Duncan. Duncan is the owner of the crayons from the first book and the second book. So, hey, Duncan, I'm sure you don't recognise me after the horrors I've been through. I think I was tan crayon, or maybe I was burnt sienna. I don't know. I can't tell anymore. Have you ever been eaten by a dog and puked up on the living room rug? Because I have. I have been eaten by a dog and puked up on the rug, Duncan. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. I'm more carpet fuzz than crayon now. Could you please bring me back your indigestible friend, tan, or possibly burnt sienna crayon? And that is a picture of the crayon. I mean, it doesn't get much more emotive than that, does it? In a children's story. Absolutely love that. And again, if you're looking into empathy, I think this has got to be top 10 in terms of the books for developing empathy, even though it never claims to be that and it never sets out for that, I don't think. My daughter's favourite page, not that page, she loved that page. My daughter's favourite page is the crayon who is called Pea Green Crayon, who gets so annoyed about being Pea Green Crayon that he changes his name. Now, I do have to warn everybody here, I apologise profusely for the accent, but this is the accent that I did when reading to my daughter. I don't know, in my brain it somehow fits, but I don't want anyone to feel that I'm taking the mickey out of regional accents here. It's just the way it's come out. So this is the crayon formerly known as Pea Green. Dear Duncan, no one likes peas. No one even likes the colour pea green. So I'm changing my name and I'm running away to see the world. Sincerely, Esteban the Magnificent, the crayon formerly known as Pea Green. And there you have Esteban the Magnificent. My daughter would shout Esteban the Magnificent. So, I know what you're thinking. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? How can that be a difficult book to read? Well, if you don't know the books, in book 1, an argument breaks out between orange crayon and yellow crayon to see who is the colour of the sun, because it turns out Duncan has used orange crayon on one occasion to colour in the sun, but on another occasion he's used yellow, so they're fighting over it, and green crayon is the mediator because they're not speaking to each other in at all anymore. So that in itself is a lovely idea, that crayons are arguing with each other. But by the second book things have turned a bit dark, because yellow crayon and orange crayon have both been left out in the sun together and have merged together. They've melted into each other. I know, this is getting bleak. So there is a page where you are supposed to alternate between the two crayons by doing a different voice for each crayon. And it starts off hard and it gets harder. And I'm going to try it, but I promise you I have never been able to pull this off. And I don't know if you can see, that is the page. So the orange bits have to be done in orange crayon's voice, and the yellow bits have to be done in yellow crayon's voice. So here goes nothing.
Duncan, it's us, yellow and orange. We know we used to argue over which of us was the colour of the sun. But guess what? Neither of us wants to be the colour of the sun anymore. Not since we were left outside and the sun melted us.
The word together is alternating with the letters. You show me how to do that. I cannot say the word together. No way. If anyone can do that better, go for it.
You know the real colour of the sun? Hot. That's what. We're sorry for arguing. You can make green the sun for all we care. Just bring us home. Your not so sunny friends, yellow and orange.
As I say, impossible to read that accurately to a child. I always believe when you read stories to children, you need to be looking up and making eye contact. Impossible. So there it is. That's my vote for the most difficult children's story to read to a child as a person reading it. But maybe you've got better. Maybe you've got some tongue twistery based stories that are better than that or more difficult. So let me know and I'll attempt to read them out as a challenge. And I know I did that really badly. But I hope you enjoyed that. And if you've not read the books, please do check them out. These are some of the greatest books ever written for children, I think. And you know what? They're quite fun for adults as well. Now, that's always a trick, isn't it? When you're reading a story to a child, but you're enjoying it as the adult. And I think Esteban the Magnificent, who doesn't enjoy the crayon formerly known as pea green? And on that note, I'll see you all for the next video.